And I play that in memory also of Miss Rose, whose birthday, I know, was yesterday. She would have been, what, 101? She was a lovely, dedicated church member for several years, and she almost made it by a month to her 100th birthday. So I play that in memory of her because we all miss her. I know everyone, pretty much everyone, was probably flooded with all types of September 11th memories, your own personal and what you saw in the news. But it was another opportunity to reflect this week on a very monumental event in our history as Americans. It's been designated as Patriots' Day, and it's in remembrance of a horrific day most of us here were around to experience on September 11th, 2001. I'm sure you've seen all the posts on social media, newspapers, as well as television networks asking, where were you on that fateful day? As if you could forget. Most of us can obviously remember where we were and what we were doing when it was first brought to our attention what was happening. I was living in New Mexico on an Air Force base in Albuquerque. I was working. The Today Show was on TV, NBC. I heard the breaking news. I saw the smoke. I saw the planes. That's the day our American way of life was suddenly in jeopardy. We didn't know or understand what was happening. We, living on the Air Force base, went to lockdown status immediately. All normal day-to-day business came to a halt. We had to be prepared that we were possibly under attack. But from whom or what, we didn't know at the time. We would later find out all the details. But it's a day that will live forever in our hearts and minds. It was like reliving Pearl Harbor. All television and radio broadcasts immediately turned to what was happening in New York City, the Pentagon, and then a field in Pennsylvania. As the day proceeded on, we were shown true leadership by our President, George Bush, at the time. We were strengthened and made to feel safe by him, and who was to become America's mayor, Rudy Giuliani. Military jets scrambled. We covered all the bases: sky, water, land, space. We took stock of what happened and how to protect our borders, our land, our people. We were led by strong government and military leaders. Spiritually, a lot of us gathered together, a lot of us in prayer, trying to understand what had actually happened. And already, the comforting and the healing began. It was put out to the universe and all it entails. People come together. This is truly a time to look to the infinite or God to help us and protect us and guide us. Spiritual leaders of all faiths came together, united in this true tragedy. So where were you? How did it affect you? I don't mean how did it affect your day-to-day life, so to speak. I mean, how did it affect you spiritually? Did it make you question your faith in the divine? For some it did. How could a loving and compassionate God allow this to happen? We as Americans were not accustomed to attack in our backyard. This only happened in lands far away that we saw on TV in other countries, right? But it hit us right where we lay our heads. It scared us. It made us feel weak and vulnerable, most of us. It made so many turn away from the God that they knew or thought they knew. Many were angry. They felt betrayed by this God. How could he have let this happen to us? We thought we were the special ones, the chosen ones. I didn't feel this way. Of course, I was upset. Most Americans, as well as people throughout the entire world, were shocked and angered. These people that had perished in these unprecedented attacks were innocent. They didn't deserve this. As information came out about who and why, we know the so-called reasons: retaliation, hatred of all Americans, whatever. But for all those that had lost their lives and for their families, all they knew was pain, suffering, and grief for a lifetime to come. We as Americans were angry. We wanted these perpetrators to be brought to justice. We couldn't forgive them for all they had caused. After the feeling of anger, I mostly felt compassion for all the souls that had been lost that day. But lost is probably not the word I really want to use here. Because as a spiritualist, I had to believe that the souls were not lost. Were they? Who had the answer to that question? At the time of this incident, I was a very devout, practicing Catholic, working in the Archdiocese of Santa Fe. I was taught to believe that we would be raised up after death and brought before Jesus and St. Peter to face judgment and either go to heaven or hell, depending on my behavior here during my life on the earth. I got that. But inquiring minds want to know, right? I was angry. I wanted to know that these people that had perished were okay. I wanted to know that they were safe and welcomed into the kingdom of heaven. I wanted answers. I wanted reassurance. So besides listening to the world religious leaders in blind faith, hoping and trusting that all was well with them, I searched for confirmation. I wanted to know. I immediately started searching out all the best mediums in the country, such as the great Sylvia Brown, John Edward, many others. I wanted proof of the continuity of life. There were many posting on their websites, writing books, They were giving me what I needed to hear. Spiritual comfort. True stories of the welcoming on the higher side for these people. They were okay. They had been escorted by beauteous creatures, some energies as angels, beings of light. They were safe. They were with infinite intelligence or God. That is where I truly felt comforted. Then I knew. So, what does this all remind you of? What has our nation been experiencing the past few months? What has violated our airspace, our borders, crossed the seas? What came about because of a suspected foreign enemy? What invaded us once again, snuck in, unwelcomed and unsuspected? The dreaded COVID. It attacked our most vulnerable, our innocent. Sound familiar? But what was the difference this time? I'll tell you what I believe the difference was. Instead of uniting us as Americans, it was sneaky and dangerous. It divided us. We were sent home from schools, from work. We were told to shelter in place. Hide from your neighbor. Avoid all contact. Do not gather together. Do not pray together. Do not worship together. Don't come out of your homes. Stay away from each other. It made you distrust anyone. Don't open your doors. Don't go out of your homes. And by all means, don't cough or breathe on each other. It spread quickly and far all across the country. And just like I said, I know we saw numerous remembrance ceremonies throughout the country this past week for Patriots' Day. Most were kept limited due to social distancing, so that caused more anger. We can't come together to commemorate what happened to us 19 years ago. Some voiced their opinion, believing it to be disrespectful to have ceremonies with pre-recorded names, etc. But we've been under attack once more. We have to use our common sense, even when it's not what we want. But as spiritualists, we believe in natural law, don't we? We go with the flow. Don't try to swim upstream. Go with the flow. The virus will eventually dissipate, just like the initial pain of September 11th. We heal. The earth heals. Many of us chose to come together, not physically in one location, of course. I mean spiritually. We have chosen to use common sense. Listen to the science experts, not those that would attempt to divide us. We as spiritualists know everything happens for a reason. Stop fighting it and further dividing us. Do what you can for your friends, neighbors, and those that need help. I spoke probably a couple weeks ago about the beatitude of blessed are the merciful, about compassion, about helping your neighbors and those who need help. We will get through this. We will go on. We've learned so much from this. we have, all of us, learned what's truly important in our lives. We've learned how much materially things don't matter. We've learned what honestly does matter. The safety of our families and friends, loved ones, church families. We realized after the initial chaos and blaming what did matter. And that reinforced what we already knew, that we are truly connected. We are brothers and sisters in the eyes of the infinite. We learn through our spirit guides and loved ones on the higher side of life another lesson. Why we are here. To learn our lessons, first of all. Then, most importantly, love each other and do what we can for each other. That is the way of our spiritual life here on the earth plane. The path toward the light, which is shining directly on you. I want you to join alongside me and others on this path to move forward in love and true peace. No anger, no blame, no hurt. Simply unconditional love. Because that is why we are here. So thank you for listening to my message, which I worked on this morning with Spirit around 4 a.m. You woke me up. It was time to get to work. So thank you very much.